Hi, my name is Ine Nobe and I'm an educational advisor at the University of Groningen. As mentioned in the animation video, the intended learning outcomes are the central building blocks of a course. But how are they formulated in a correct way? What makes a good intended learning outcome? During this video, we will discover the answer to these questions. But first, why do we need intended learning outcomes? The learning outcomes serve many purposes. They manage expectations and give direction for the teacher and, most importantly, for the students. They help the teacher to determine what he or she is going to teach. They help the students to give them an idea of what they should be able to do at the end. So, the intended learning outcomes set a goal. Where do you want your students to be at the end of this course? You can compare it with running the 4 Mile, a popular running event that is organized each year in October in Groningen. This year, I participated for the first time. I really wanted to run the 4 Mile in under 35 minutes. So, to reach the finish in under 35 minutes was a goal I set for myself. During my 7 weeks of preparation time, I worked towards reaching that goal. This is the same thing with the learning outcomes. You set a goal for your students and during the course you work with them to reach that goal. It is easier to plan for something if you know where you want to go. So now we know why we need intended learning outcomes. However, how are they formulated in a correct way? First and foremost, the more concretely an intended learning outcome is formulated, the better it can give direction for teachers to plan their course and for students to know what exactly they should be able to do. One way to formulate concrete intended learning outcomes is to check if they are formulated in a SMART way. With SMART, I mean specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Or even SMARTY or SMARTM, in which the I in SMARTY stands for inspiring and the second M in SMARTM stands for motivating. For me, the goal to reach the finish in under 35 minutes was specific, since it states in under 35 minutes. Measurable, since after running the race I could look up my time. Achievable, since I was in a relatively good shape. And realistic, since I knew I had run 3 miles in under 30 minutes before. Timely, since I had enough time to prepare myself, 7 weeks to be specific. And finally, it was motivating to set that goal. I had something to work towards. Let's have a look at an example of an intended learning outcome from a course on statistics in the psychology department of the University of Groningen. The outcome is to know how to apply statistical procedures. Do you think the outcome has been formulated in a SMART way? I hope you came to the same conclusion as I did. The outcome is not very specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or timely, and it's certainly not inspiring. The actual outcome was formulated like this. After the course, the students are able to independently choose what statistical procedure to apply to a given basic research design. The outcome is now more specific since we know that the students have to be able to do it independently and that a basic research design is given. The outcome is also measurable since you can more easily measure applying than knowing. To make it easier to write a measurable, action-oriented intended learning outcome, we advise to always start an outcome with the phrase, upon completion of the course, the student is able to, or after the course, the student is able to, since those phrases force you to use a verb that indicates activity, like for example, to apply instead of to know. We refer to these verbs as action verbs. Furthermore, the outcome is realistic, achievable, and timely, since this is a second-year bachelor course and the students have enough prior knowledge to reach the outcome over the 7 weeks period the course is taught. Finally, I personally find this outcome more motivating than how it was formulated in the beginning. Don't you agree? As you will notice, when you look at the intended learning outcomes of your own courses in the next steps, many outcomes are not exactly formulated in the way I just explained. Above all, it's important to consider whether the outcomes are clear. Do the students understand what they will be able to do upon completion of the course? And are the outcomes formulated in a way that they might motivate students? In the following step, we will practice with some examples of learning outcomes, and afterwards, I would like to hear from you what you think are smart, intended learning outcomes.